Good morning. It's turned out nice again. No, it hasn't really. Well, it's alright. How you doing, guys? You alright? Good. If you've supported Let's Make KopTalk TV great again, and your name is not in the video description below, please let me know. Just email me dunk, at koptalk.com. Special shout out to you guys, and also, my members that make this possible. 3 of my videos from yesterday have still not been monetized, still not been, a decision hasn't been made on the appeal. I upload my videos and YouTube flagging them, limiting them, because they say they contain profanity, excessive profanity throughout the majority of the video, which they don't, and I do win the appeals, but I think it's been like 24 hours now, and if it worked for the people that supported me, I wouldn't be able to justify doing my vids. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, thanks for that. Also, Spectre, he commented yesterday. He said the door opened behind me when I was when I was recording a video. He went, please tell me that was Remy, my puppy. Well, he's not a puppy now. He's still young, aren't you? My little rescue dog. It was Remy. So if you hear any little noises behind or anything, it's Remy. He's down there. So this video is not gonna have anything exciting in this video. There's no takeover talk, there's no Liverpool FC opinion or anything. This video is about KopTalk, Liverpool fans, community, and me, I guess. So yeah, turn off now, because I'm sure it's going to be boring. So, 11 years ago today, my mum died. She went into hospital, she was 54. She was 55 when she died. She went into hospital for routine heart surgery, which sounds very scary and is. I'd be terrified. But at the time, they said, no, don't worry, medication and just the expertise of the doctors and everything is, heart operation today is, they said, just pretty straightforward. And, she'll be in hospital 5 days and she'll be home in 5 days. And 8 months later, she passed away, having, stayed in hospital all that time because there was complications, ironically nothing to do with the heart. And I don't want you to think this, this video might be depressing, I don't know, I don't want to get emo or anything, but I want to tell you about the Liverpool FC connection in all of this, because it's truly amazing. It really is. So if you're a Liverpool fan that's really proud of, Liverpool fans and, the community that we have, and, I remember a lad at the time, saying, I wish I could remember his name, because it's something that I repeat all the time. And during that traumatic time, this Liverpool fan commented and said, "You'll never walk alone, Dunk. It's more than a slogan. It's not a slogan, it's a way of life." And I've never forgot that. It was really nice. So this video, we're going to be telling you about a couple of Liverpool fans, and how the internet and KopTalk brought us together, and how they looked after my mum during those 8 months. It's an incredible story if you've got the patience to hear it. So we'll try not to be too depressive. I'm not doing this for attention or anything like that, because every day is the same for me. I think about my mum every day. I was an only child. I was very, very close to my mum. I'm from Scarborough. When I left Scarborough and moved up to the northeast, to Newcastle area, because I was racing greyhounds at Brough Park at Newcastle, and I had a lot of, Liverpool, a lot of dogs named after Liverpool, right? So I had Boot Room Boy, Boot Room Lass, Boot Room Girl. Charlotte had Faster Than Owen. And I was going to the greyhound racing every weekend with my girlfriend at the time. And in the end, it was we're spending so much money on hotels, we're just getting a house here. So I left Scarborough and went and lived up just outside Newcastle. And I took my mum with me. Well, not with me, she bought an house opposite me in a cul-de-sac. When I moved to Spain, my mum came with me, So, I've been a mummy's boy, and there's nothing wrong with that, She gave me life, she looked after me. She had an hard, time bringing me up because my real dad wasn't around. She had 4 jobs as a kid, We lived on various council estates. My mum did everything for me, you know. So I was always going to repay that and look after my mum. And, you know, we lived independent lives. So, like, you know, if I had, you know, a chick, a girlfriend, wife, whatever, it didn't interfere, you know, like my mum lives over the road. There's pros and cons to that, I guess. And when I came to Spain, you know, I was never going to abandon my mum. So that's that. We were very close, right? So I'm just trying to set that, you know, like that situation there. So we're, you know, an only child as well, you know, only child syndrome and all that. So my mum was mint. She was really cool, and she was young as well. She had me very young. My real dad was never around really, still alive. My real dad, not spoke to him for more than 20 years, I think. But my stepdad, who I mentioned in a video the other day, you know, he was my dad to me. You know, I called him Dad. And, you know, he took me to my first Liverpool game in 1986, which is the FA Cup final against Everton. And he was all right. He was a good man. He was my dad. So, very close to me, mum. And, you know, we did Liverpool things together, 2001, you know, the final over there in Germany. We went together on that. And, you know, we had a laugh, you know. And she was just your typical mum. You know, I know some of you maybe... You know, I say that like everyone gets on with the mum, or everyone has the mum. Maybe some people have never had a mum, never didn't know the mum, or might have lost the mum when they were younger than me. You know, so but most people probably have a mum at some point in their lives, and I did in mine. And so, cut a long story short, she goes into hospital for 5 days. And there's complications. She ends up in intensive care, in and out over intensive care over that 8 months. And I can't even, you know, I don't even know what I'm saying. And what can I say? So she's in hospital for 8 months, and I had to. This hospital was just outside Hull. It was where people from Scarborough went to if you were really, really poorly, like cancer and heart conditions and things like that. So we didn't have any family there or anything, you know, or friends. So I had to stay in like a hotel, like not a hotel, but like more like you know, like a little motorway place kind of place, you know. And I stayed there for 8 months in this room. And little Robson, you know, my son, you know, he'd have been about 10 at the time or something like that. He was very close to his nana, and he spent, you know, if he had like a week or 2 weeks off school, even the 6-week school holiday, he came and stayed in that single room with me at the hotel at the digs for the entire time. And we would go to the hospital every day, and he would sit with me every day, would Rob, and his nana, you know, little git. He was a very brave boy. And I'm going to keep losing my trail of thought. So I stay in this these digs for 8 months, and I wasn't, of course, you know, able to work on KopTalk, you know, do the Liverpool stuff. I did have a laptop with me, and I had a little, like a dongle that plugged in the laptop, and I sellotaped it to the window in my mum's room 11, Ward 11. And you know, she was awake for the majority of that time, you know, because she was waiting to have another operation that they hoped would put things right. So she had to stay in hospital to get stronger again, you know. So we would sit there most days talking, and I would be there from 10 a.m. every morning until maybe 11 p.m. in an evening. For 8 months I did that. And the only reason I left at like 11 p.m. till 10 a.m. was to let her sleep, and you know, to just a bit of respect for the nurses and that. They had to do things in the morning. They've still got a job to do. I did nurse my mum for that entire time. I won't go into the full details, but you know, the charts on the end of the bed that measure, you know, your ins and outs, liquids. I did all of that, you know, absolutely everything for my mum, and to help the nurses as well. And here's a little tip for you. I want to tell you something now, and this is the most important thing that you can ever know when a loved one goes into hospital. You know the board at the end of the bed that the doctors and nurses write on? You are allowed to write on that too, as the patient's family. And they don't tell you that. You think that's just for the doctors. So if you've got any grievances or any concerns, right, and something might go pear-shaped later on, they'll say, well, you didn't write it on the notes. So the notes in the hospital, you might not want to write on it yourself, and maybe it's a good idea to be polite if something's wrong. You should say to the nurse, I don't say, right, I want my concerns put in on there. Because there was times during that period that a lot of things I wasn't happy about with her care, right? Now, I'm not digging the NHS. There's good and bad in every profession in life. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I was going to turn my Wi-Fi off. I think it's off. Yeah, it is. I know where it is. Stress management. How are you feeling? My watch has detected stress. So it must, you know what I mean? So there was, I have 3 cousins, 3 people in my family, 3 cousins that work for the NHS, nurses, physio, everything. The NHS is great. But there are some people in the NHS that aren't great, right? That's just life, I guess. And further down the line, it was pointed out to me, well, you didn't write it in the notes. So always please remember that. And I've had people say to me many times, I'm really not happy with the way they're dealing with my mum or my sister or my partner or whatever. And I always say, get it wrote in. You can write it in, right? Don't let them tell you that that's not true. It is 1,000,000,000% true, guys. And if something terrible happens, they'll say you didn't record it. So them notes are there for you as well. I want this writing in, them notes, that my mother's been waiting here, whatever. Now, some people are unreasonable and say, well, I've been waiting 10 minutes. I'm talking about when it's like, you're taking the Michael now, all right? And yes, they are stretched and everything, trust me. But it's not necessarily an attack on a nurse or a doctor. It's about the whole situation, the whole care, right? Please, if you tell everyone you know that, because people don't realise you can write in the notes. So, during that time, I have no idea how I got onto that, but yeah, I looked after my mum. So this is what I was telling you. So I did I did about 11, 12 hours every day for 8 months. And we didn't leave her on her own overnight. We'd have someone else from the family there who would do the night shift, just sit in a chair basically and stay out of the way. The nurses let them get on. I couldn't stay there. It was physically impossible for me to stay there 24 hours. So I would leave, go to my room. I bought a microwave for my room, and had my meals and everything in there. I even did some streams sometimes, believe it or not. And you guys were phenomenal, that were with me through all that. And so 8 months away from KopTalk meant, I wasn't making any content. I didn't generate any revenue. I was struggling financially. And my KopTalk members, my VIP members at the time, you couldn't be a member on here then. They supported me, and they knew that I was struggling, and they've always supported me. And they paid their membership fee, which is a contribution. It's like a donation, to help with it all, And I can't remember who it was, but they were like, look, what we're going to do, Dung, is we're all going to pay next year's membership fee now, this week, to help you out. So there's all them people, they might have just paid their membership fee the day before, or a week before, it didn't matter, they were like, we're going to pay again, and it got me through that, because I would never have survived. And when I came out of that, I was absolutely mashed, and it took me years to recover from that. Now, when she was in hospital, I made these videos like this. Sometimes I'd leave the hospital, I'd have my bag, or I'd be going out for some dinner or something like that, or maybe getting her something, And when I was walking down the corridors occasionally, I don't know if the videos are still on here. I've probably deleted them because I probably don't want reminding, about that. And I remember recording a video, so I've got my phone, I'm holding it like this, and I'm walking out, right, guys, you all right? I'm sorry I'm not around kind of thing. My mum, I said, I'm having a nightmare here. There's things going wrong with her care, and it's not really nice. And Remy's making a noise in the he's in his bed and he's chewing his blanket. I think he's protesting. He's laying down. So I makes this video, right? And I'm saying I'm really I was upset. I was genuinely upset. I said, you're not going to believe it. I mean, for example, my mum rings me at 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the night one night. And I said, what's up, mum? She says, I need to go to the toilet, son, and they won't help me. And I said, what do you mean they won't help? She said, they won't help me. I've been laid here ages. I need to go to the loo. And this woman, and she'd said, this woman had said, you know, you'll have to wait or something, and snapped her head off, and was really an awful person. I mean, like, it wasn't like, can you give me 2 minutes, darling? You know, like, if you can't nurse, then don't be a nurse. If you can't control whatever's going on in your life or your stress, you shouldn't be a nurse, right? And basically, Mum said, if you don't get, you know, my Mum waited hours and said, if I don't go soon, son, then I'm going to wet myself. I can't. She couldn't do it by herself then. And this was, I won't go into which ward it was or which hospital, but, you know, it wasn't very nice, you know, so I kicked up a fuss about it. And the person concerned was actually disciplined, and the hospital agreed at the time. I didn't do anything, you know, try and get anybody into trouble or anything. But when they found out what had happened, they were saying that's not acceptable, despite, you know, how many people are here, that is just not acceptable. So that was resolved. But I was talking about these things, and there was quite a few things at this hospital that weren't going right. And I did this video, and I'm saying, you know, like, oh, God, awful day, guys, you know, my mum's been, you know, the majority of people are all right, but this is happening and that's not happening, and I don't know what to do. And I get a message. Someone reaches out from watching my video, right? A Liverpool fan, right? And he reaches out and he introduces himself, tells me his name's called Andy, right? He said, Dunk, I've watched your videos for years. I recognise that hospital that you're in. He says, part of my job is being in charge of that hospital and other hospitals in that area, right? And he says, I'm really concerned what I'm hearing that you're saying in your videos about your mum. Would you object, or would you, you know, can I come and see you? I'd like to come and see you and see your mum, right? So he come, you know, obviously I'm like, you know, this is someone that just watches my videos. And there's so much more to this if you listen, right? And he comes and meets me, one of the nicest, this is the sort of people that should be in that profession. One of the nicest guys in the world. And we're still friends today. He's still on my Facebook and things like that. And he's called Andy. And Andy met me and my mum, told him all the problems, and he wore what was, you know, everyone, you know, in different professions, like the police, the fire brigade. Well, even the NHS, they wear different coloured uniforms and things. And the particular uniform that he wore was a rare one. It meant you were right at the top, right? So when he walks on a ward, they're like, oh, you know what I'm saying, guys, right? So on a ward, you've got your nurses, you've got your sisters or whatever, I don't know how it works now. You had your ward manager, and then you have, it goes even further and further up. So, you know, he was someone, basically. And when he appeared on the ward, you know, they were like, ooh, what's going on here? And you could just tell they were like trying to find out why he was there, you know? And he was such a lovely man, you know, and he stepped in and took control of things and put every single thing right, all right? And my mum loved him. She was like, you got to look after him, son. And she says, give him one of them KopTalk badges. Because we'd had some enamel badges done, and my mum was she was really proud of what I did with the website and stuff. She give me one of them badges. You know what I mean? Like, bless her. Anyway, he really looked after me mum, and he used to visit just about every single day during that 8 months. He visited, popped in, hello Jeanette, Dunk, you alright mate? Yeah, she'd sit with her and how are you doing, Jeanette, you know, blah blah blah. And then we'd step outside and he'd have maybe conversations we wouldn't have in front of her. And he didn't just put things right, he cared, you know, he came down. And he also went and spoke to other cardiologists, doctors, heart surgeons and things in the hospital, and he was continually getting different. He was like, I know such and such, I'll go and have a word with him about that and I'll let you know. Things like that, you know, he just went beyond help. He was incredible. And he was a Liverpool fan. This is why I'm making this video, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, I wouldn't just make this video and say, oh, I can tell you all this randomly. You know, as much as I wear my hat on my sleeve, what would be the point? You know, I'm trying to tell you about Liverpool fans and how they came together to help me and my mum's last few days, months or whatever on this planet. All thanks to a website, a community as I call it. Liverpool fans, right? And obviously during that time me and him would speak about the football and stuff like that, you know. And it was a weird time, but such a nice man. Anyway, I would agree with you that it shouldn't be like that. You know, like no one should be getting preferential treatment or anything like that, right? It shouldn't be like that. I agree with that. But it wasn't preferential treatment because this chap, when he became aware of what had happened or was happening, he intervened. That was his job. So if you'd have been there, regardless of what football team you support or whether they watch your videos or not, if you'd have approached him, as anybody could do, and said, I've got a problem with whatever, he would have done exactly the same. So there was no like preferential thing. It's just a case in life, if you're in that environment and there's things going wrong and you just sit there and don't do anything about it, no one's going to help you. So you've got to step up. You don't have to make videos on YouTube. You go to the right places in the hospital. I think, first of all, you start with something called PALS, which I think is Patients Something Liaison Service. I don't know. I can't remember. It's called PALS. Google it, capital letters, PALS. They deal with things that are going wrong. So that's the first thing you do if things go wrong, right? You go to them and you make sure you write stuff in the notes. Oh, just burnt my elbow on the kettle. So please don't think like it's preferential. It's not. He would have done that for anybody. That was his job, right? Once you're aware, no one can do anything unless they're aware of it. I didn't even go to these people. I didn't even sound him out because I didn't know. I went to PALS initially. They were dealing with all of this stuff, and it's just by chance he saw my video. Great bloke, he'd do anything for you. So, you know, he would, on the times that my mum was taken into intensive care, if you've never been in an intensive care unit and you ever have to, you know, for family or friends or anything, you brace yourself for being in the most awful environment that I can think of I've ever been in my life. People told me this before, because she was obviously going to go into intensive care after such a big operation, you know, before you come out and go into a ward and things like that. So I knew that this was going to be an experience at some point. But when you spend a lot of time in intensive care, you see different people. And, you know, if you're in intensive care, you sat with your loved one, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to be sleeping or whatever. And there's a lot of wires and things, and just it's really not a nice place to be. And then in these places, you know, a lot of times people, you know, alarms go off, you know, and you can understand why. The curtains are pulled and you have to leave. Like everyone, family out, everyone, even though it's not your relative, it's over there, out of respect, you leave and they've got to work their magic, right? So you spend a lot of time sat outside intensive care. And I remember being sat there on Christmas Day one day thinking about all the people in the world, or certainly in the UK. That afternoon, I'm sat outside intensive care, my mum's fighting for her life, and I'm thinking, do you remember, you know, do you remember last year when I was with my mum having Christmas dinner? Think of all them families out there now, not resenting them, but just them people not realising what could be around the corner or not knowing. So remember, at Christmas Day, if you celebrate that thing, just really, really appreciate it. And I think about this every Christmas Day now, and I have done for 11 years. And when I'm having my dinner, I sit and I know that at that particular moment there's another lad like me or a woman or whatever in a similar situation in living hell, you know. And Andy came down to see me, and he would sit down on one of the chairs with me and Trace, my missus, and he'd sit with us for half an hour and just talk. I thought I'd come and see you, Dunk, and all that. I mean, amazing. Such a kind, lovely man. So, Andy helped my mum's final time on this planet, and he was a Liverpool fan just from watching a video like this. Incredible. Also, during my mum's time in hospital, another Liverpool fan reached out to me from America. And he was what I would describe as a leading cardiologist, professor at cardiology. You know, my mum had a heart problem. which ironically, that wasn't what killed her, but she'd gone into hospital, had an operation, and some things didn't go well. You can get infections in hospital. You know, some days you meet a lot of people outside intensive care units, and hi, how are you doing? You know, silly question, but are you all right? How are you coping? What's going on? And I remember this woman saying, my husband's coming for an ankle operation, and he's ended up in here. And I was like, an ankle operation? She went, yeah, just an ankle operation. He's got infection and all that. And you'd see her every day. And then one day I'd go, where is she? And he passed away. So she was no longer there anymore. So you build up, like, you actually meet families if you're in a situation like that. And I have some of the families from back then that are still, you know, my Facebook friends. We're friends today because we spent so much time together. So, you know, like, I've got enough experience with hospitals. I'm terrified of hospitals. That's why I never go. You know, when people go, get yourself to hospital, it's not right that, well, I'm not going to hospital. You know, some people go there, just broke my finger, a little operation, get infected, never come home. No, don't take it for granted, guys. So this other chap contacts me. He says, I don't. He's been with KopTalk for years. He's called Stan. Lovely man, obviously. And cut a long story short, I'm telling him what's going on, and he starts asking me questions, you know, like, well, what they're doing this, and what medication she got, and all that. I don't know, I said, I don't know. He said, can you do me a favour? And I went, yeah. He went, go and take photographs of her notes and her charts, and they have that chart that we write the notes on, and they've also got like a medication chart or whatever. He says, I'd like you to take a picture of it. Massive Liverpool fan. So I take a picture of these notes, and every now and then he requests new photographs, and I'd email it to him, and he's in a different time zone, remember, in America, and then he would contact me and he'd say, right, you need to tell them that medication, she shouldn't be given that medication, and he would explain why, and he wasn't like saying, I know better than them. He was just saying, she shouldn't be on that, Duncan. If you speak to any cardiologist, he will tell you the same. So what had happened was my mum had gone into hospital for cardio, something else had made her ill, so she had different care, if that makes sense. So the other kids, but they didn't communicate. So I would then go to him and I'd go, you know, I would hunt the guy that did the operation, the cardio guy. He wasn't, what was he? It doesn't matter. We just think they're all cardiologists, they're all heart surgeons, but they all do different things, right? And anyway, I spoke to the people that were looking after, and I said, my understanding, right, my friend's a cardiologist, I said, and he's flagged this medication, and then they all were like, oh yes, she shouldn't be on that. She shouldn't be on that. No, we need to change that, right? So, little mistakes, you know. I remember one day some junior doctors, you know, I asked them a question. I said, why have you put a line through this? You know, just as something on a chart, long story. My medical friend asked why, and the junior doctor didn't know. She went, oh, I just saw someone else do it, and I thought you know what I mean? So this is they're looking after your loved ones, and some of them don't even know what they're doing, right? This isn't a hit on the NHS guys. I'm just talking about, because listen. Some of those people, when at Christmas Day, when my mum was in hospital, you know, really ill, some of the nurses, you know, that are still my friends today. Many of them went to my mum's funeral. They invited me to their house for Christmas dinner. I wouldn't go, so they brought me a Christmas dinner to the hospital. New Year's Eve, I know you don't want to party, but you don't want to be in this hospital on your own or in your room on your own. Come to our house. We'd love you to have you around. They were amazing. The majority of the people were amazing, you know, and but sometimes you just got to pay real attention. Now there was one time when my mum drifted into this, they changed the medication, they put this like thing on her arm to make her like, I guess it was some kind of painkiller or something. It was like a sticker, like a patch, and she fell asleep. And I said to him, I said, you know, you like, as you do, because I'm watching everything, because people are telling me and I'm learning as I'm going along, being in hospital all that time, and 11, 12 hours a day, I'm watching everything. And she falls asleep and she wouldn't wake up. You know, I was like, ma'am, wouldn't wake up, like gone. thought she was dead, but she was still breathing. And I said, it's that medication, you've done something wrong. It's not, you've knocked her out. She was all right before you gave her that. No, it's not, but you know, and you get them doctors, you know, they come round in a little team and that, don't they? And you do get people that are a bit up their own, you know, whatever, and they'd be talking about her like she ain't there. And I think that's really disrespectful, right? Because I'm saying, how do you know she can't hear? You know what I mean? So if you're going to have those conversations, have them out there. Don't be having them over my mum. Yeah? I would, like, being mean or rude, I would never do that. I have so much respect for everyone. But I've been brought up to treat people like they treat you. So if someone's really like, you know, I'm sorry, Mr. Holland, I actually think you're wrong with that, I would just like, I say, well, okay, I just like, you know, I was thinking. But if someone puts me down or talks to me in a rude and inconsiderate and abrasive manner, then I'm going to stand up to that person and think, well, you don't have to talk to me like that. Yeah? So this guy turns around and says, oh, so you're saying that it's this, you know, this patch that's done this to your mother, are you? I said, yeah, I am, yeah. He went, right, okay. And, you know, he's come out with it. You could see that he was thinking, what does this div know? Right? He went, well, what we'll do then, he says, we'll give it was like, I can't think of the word, but it's when someone counters some things, you know, counters something. And he said, right, he said, well, I'm going to give her an injection. And he went, this will reverse this is in simplest terms. And he went, and if you're right, Mr. Holden, your mum will wake up, won't she? I said, I don't know, but I just know that thing's knocked her out, you know. So, they gives her the injection. She's been asleep for a very, very long time. And, like, honestly, shaking her, she wouldn't wake up. Well, there wouldn't have been an injection. It would have been a line here, I guess, into her arm. So, they pushed this thing in, medication. I have no idea what it was. And as they did it, as you could see the thing going down like that, she went like that. And just opened her eyes immediately. So, I was right. This isn't a DKB moment or anything. This is a, like, you've got to keep on top of these guys and tell them all your observations and things, right? They do the best, I get it. They're under pressure, they haven't got time to go into it all. Just me, I would never leave a loved one in hospital, man. Honestly, never. Anyway, so at this point, you know, I've got Andy, and I've got Stan. And they went through the whole process with me of everything for 8 months. And if I was ever unhappy or I could question, I had the knowledge of these people, all because of being a Liverpool supporter on the KopTalk website. So this is why I am exceptionally passionate about KopTalk and what I do. You know, I know that there's people that won't have watched this video because they don't care. They don't care about authenticity or a real person. Some people don't understand you'll never walk alone. Some people can't listen to this. I don't think I would be able to listen to someone else saying this because of the trauma that I've been through in my life. It would make me very upset. But, you know, these people that hate on you online, and I have had tremendous hate over the years just for speaking my mind, for not being from Liverpool, for daring to have, you know, a membership back in the day before memberships were around that I saw it was coming, and they all do it now anyway. You know, the hate that was put on me and my mum as well. They targeted my family, my mum, you know. And, you know, like Charlotte and Robert, when their granddad died, Charlotte and Robert and my kids, when their granddad on the other side of the family died, their mum's dad, the haters, one of them, I would like to say a top red, but I think that would be really offensive to the top reds that you guys associate to certain people or whatever, because I don't think it's fair to say that. But certainly someone that falls into the category of a particular type of Liverpool supporter, which we've spoke about recently. So this kind of person would hate out of town supporters, would be very militant with their political views, would oppose, I can guarantee you they would oppose The suggestion of Middle East. He was a particular type of supporter, and he was like one of my biggest haters at the time. That then set up another Liverpool website community. When their granddad did die. When their granddad died, you can imagine how much pain my children were going through and how hard it was for me as a father seeing my two young kids destroyed. I think that was their first experience of death. And I have someone that would bill themselves as a Liverpool fan, supporter, and I'm a diehard, I don't want to say top red because I think even, people, but, just someone that would say that they were like the most passionate Liverpool fan in the world. They would describe themselves as that. Completely miss the whole point of what You Never Walk Alone means. And you don't have to like everybody on the internet, but if you are watching this and you say awful things about people on the internet, you have to realise there is a real person behind that and a family behind that as well. So when their granddad died, he emailed me and said, I've heard about your kid's granddad dying. When we're not going to hate on you today, we'll give you a couple of days off, but then we'll be back. And that was the email that he sent to me. And I could name that person now, but I don't want to. I don't want to utter the names of these people. But they're still out there, and they're still commenting on things that are happening around the club. And, they hated on me tremendously. I still get the hate now. It's always the same people. If you see any hate online about me or anything said about me, right, I guarantee they're either associated to another Liverpool website or they have been turned away from KopTalk over the years for being disrespectful to other people in the community, or they are one of these hardcore types from the city that hate out of town supporters. Now, I have to be very specific with this. Just because you're from Liverpool, you can't put people into that category. It's a particular type. And if you read my comments on here the last few days, you'll see people, or the last week or so, you'll see people saying, I'm from the city, I love all Liverpool fans wherever you're from in the world. So please don't ever think that that's what everyone's like there, because they're not. But it was a particular type, And when they used to hate on me, like I'm a lot older and wiser now, and I'm not really bothered. I mean, it's not nice to be hated on by anyone, especially when you've done nothing wrong. I've made mistakes. I was in my 20s, and I probably bit and said things I shouldn't have said and stuff like that. But you learn from that. But when they were hating on me, I've got my mum in my life, she was around then. And she was very close to me. She helped me on the website and things like that. If you go on twitter.com/Duncan Oldham today, or Instagram, same username, you'll see there's a picture of my mum there, which was my old Liverpool office in England. She was always a part of the KopTalk. And when these people were taking hate to another level, and she could see me upset, she's like, I'm not having this, son. I'm not having it. You tell them out. And I'm like, Mum, I can't go online and say my mum's going to sort you out. Do you know what I mean? But that parent, sticking up for you. And so they were hurting her as well as me. And my mum was exceptionally supportive and loyal to me during all that time. By default, obviously, it's your mum, innit? Same as your dad, But for every awful person that's out there, there are amazing people, like Andy and Stan, that I can guarantee you, if you said, Dunk, I've got some surgery coming up, or, to do with my ticker, or my dad's got an act, do you think he would help, if I said, Stan, people follow us on KopTalk, he'd be like, can I get his email address? It's not unique to Liverpool Football Club, it just means that they're nice people in society. But how nice is it that two other people that had never met me ever came together through KopTalk, through our love of Liverpool Football Club, and walked with me. The same as you guys that have been around since then walked with me, whether I was on Twitter, whether I was making videos. To this day, people still walk with me. So yes, the video it's not exciting. We're not sold the club to Qatar. I'm not shouting and being abusive about something or someone. Not abusive, but I'm not being expressive. I'm not talking about. Well, I am talking about Liverpool, but I'm not talking about exciting things about Liverpool. But this is probably one of the most important videos I've ever done, because Liverpool isn't all about transfers and isn't all about titles and silverware. Liverpool Football Club is also about people. So I've got the KopTalk community, but it's much, much bigger than that in the big scale of things. And we've all got one love that brings us together. And there's good and bad in everything in life. Police, nurses, doctors, content creators, how we conduct ourselves. And the way you conduct yourself as a Liverpool fan online is you are representing Liverpool Football Club every time you put a tweet out. All right? But some people don't realise that. You might think I'm a nobody. Like I ain't anybody. But the point is, if you put something out there online that is awful, all of us get lumped in it as well because of you. All right? Because we are Liverpool fans. Not many people have the intelligence to stand up and go, well, it's just one, I'm trying not to swear, because YouTube will tell me off. I'm sure this video will still get flagged. I don't care anyway. Nobody goes like, well, it's just a bad egg. Like, so we see, like I see, let's just say on Twitter, sometimes you'll retweet something a Chelsea fan or a Manchester United fan has said something really awful, maybe about Hillsborough or something. And you retweet and go, look at them lot. And I always think, don't retweet it, because that person doesn't, speak for all Manchester United or Chelsea supporters. All you're doing is giving them attention. You ignore that. It doesn't help. And we're going through a period at the moment where we're very critical of journalists, especially, and maybe the owners, but we mustn't let ourselves down. We can say, look, John Henry, whatever, don't agree with this, please sell the club. Don't be hating on John Henry. And I have really close friends of mine hating on John Henry, and I find it very difficult, because I'm like, that's not right, Okay, I wouldn't say very close friends, because if they were very close friends, they would listen to me, and they wouldn't be doing that anyway. But I have people that I consider really good friends, like people I haven't met but on here, and so I know it's passion, but I don't like it. The same when they go for Linda and all that, right? I mean, I'd love to have a go at Linda. I mean, what I mean is, just don't hate on people, right? Even if it's James Pearce or a journalist you don't like, be on it, be fair. I'm sure James Pearce goes, you have every right to pull me up and question me for the way that I work. But don't start trying to just don't make it personal. Because it's a short life, guys. It's a short life. You don't know what's around the corner. And, we have members we've lost over the years, that have passed away in accidents or too young. The last one was a Liverpool supporter. It was a KopTalk member. And he collapsed and just like that. I think he was in an airport or a ferry terminal. I don't know where. So he was probably doing something really nice. I don't know. He was living his life and like that, gone. And that kills me, because I always think that person put their faith and trust in me at some point. Very sad when we lose someone like that. Awful. Awful. So I don't want this video to be like depressive or anything. I want this video to be, you watch the views on this video, there won't be many views on this video, but I would rather have the people, you guys that are watching this video, that have watched it right through and that leave a comment, they're the people that I want walking with me, because I know that they're the same sort of person as me. Like, they want to they're not just here for what they can get and then leave, if that makes sense. They're like, I watch Dunk's vids, I like to know a little bit about him, kind of thing, And this isn't about me, this is about Liverpool fans that came and supported me through the most horrific time of my life. The most horrific time of my life. And I haven't gone into any of the details that if I told you, you'd be like, oh man, you know, like, I haven't done that. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I don't want it. I cringe at that. I genuinely do. I put a tweet out today about all of this, not this video, but what today means. I turned the comments off because as much as everyone is lovely, I'm not doing it because I want someone to say, there's people like that in society, and maybe they need it, fair enough, but I'm not like that. If someone replies to this video, YNWA, I know that what they mean. I ain't got a problem with you guys leaving a comment. Please don't take it like that. I'm just saying I'm not making this video for sympathy. I don't need sympathy. It's a rubbish date. But when I finish this video, I'm going to be making you our usual videos and talking about the things that we normally do, because my mum's gone and she wouldn't want me to be sad. Would she? I nearly did it. I nearly did it. So, thank you, Andy, and thank you, Stan. That's it. That's the realest video you're going to get from me for a while. We shall now resume normal service, and we'll find something to talk about in a minute. But I just wanted to tell you about how KopTalk has been so kind and so nice to me, because as much as people have tried to ruin my life at times and have succeeded in sometimes, the people like Andy and Stan will always prevail. They'll always be the ones that cancel all that out, you know, and you guys, and I don't know where I'd be without KopTalk. It's my life. It's my life. KopTalk has made me the happiest person in the world and made me the saddest person in the world. It's cost me marriages, as KopTalk. I've also met some of the nicest people in the world, and we all share one love, and that's Liverpool Football Club. And I'm sorry if this video was horrendous. This video was about acknowledging two people that made a big difference to my mum's last days, weeks, months on this planet. And I don't speak to them very often because I can't. Right. I hope you enjoyed the video.